Welcome to this webcast on Effective Analytics Made Easy with IDEA. These webcasts are being brought to you by Automation Services, the USA provider of Caseware IDEA data analysis solutions. For the next 20 minutes, we want to take a look at some effective analytics in the inventory area. Inventory is often a significant area in a company's balance sheet and can be challenging to audit. It helps to keep focus on the objectives of the audit, such as the assets do in fact exist, the financial statement presentations are complete, the assets are owned by the company, and the correct valuation is known. There's a few things I do every time I open up a client data file for the first time. The first thing I do is I adjust my desktop so I get the best view of my data. So you can see on my desktop here as I pick up and drag the left side, I'm overlaying the file window, and I can adjust. This is a pretty big file. I can adjust it to get the best view. If I need to maximize it, I can use the push pin feature over here, and as I hover over it, it will fly out and I can reset the pin. I can do the same thing on the right side of my screen as well, overlaying the database properties, and again I can set the push-pull pin to maximize my file space. The second thing I do is I want to make certain the database administrator gave me the data files that I need, and they are in the format that I need to conduct my audit tests. To bring up the record layout, the easiest way is to select any of the cells in the rows and columns on your desktop and right-click. That brings up a dialog box where you can navigate down to the field manipulation. Under the field manipulation, you can see all of the field names in a nice, neat column. If you want to change any of the names, you double-click on it and you can type right over it. All that does is change the field name as it appears in your database, as well as any field names if you generate any reports. The underlying data, of course, is not impacted. To the right of that is the field name element type. You may need to change that to get the field into the format that you need to do your audit tests. To change it, so you can see here this field came in as character. You select it, you drop down, and you can change it to a more appropriate field. You scan down, make certain you've got your data. I'm not going to make any changes. I was fine with it the way it was, so I'm going to select cancel and exit without making changes. The third thing I do is I want to validate the data. It's a good idea to confirm with the client that all of the requested data was exported, transmitted, and then imported into IDEA correctly. You need to do this before you start working on the audit to keep the audit running smoothly. To accomplish this, on the right side under the database properties, I want to take a look at the field statistics. So I navigate over here on the right side to field statistics and select it. You notice IDEA is indicating that the statistics were not generated when I imported this file, but by saying yes, I can invoke IDEA's built-in data mining capabilities and run the field statistics that quickly. The field statistics area provides three views: the numeric view, a date view, and a time view. Now in this particular file I do not have a time view, so as you would expect, the time view is blank. So let's go back up to the numeric view and take a look at this a little closer. We're dealing with a lot of data fields here, and a lot of them are numeric, so they're all listed here. But if we want to just clear all of this, navigate up to the clear all icon and select that, and then we can come over here to our list of numeric fields and just activate the ones that we need to use to validate the data that we receive from the client. You'll also notice that the light blue, some of the statistics are in light blue, meaning you can drill down into the underlying records and see a more detailed level. To close up the field statistics function and move back to my data, I navigate to the right side of the screen to the data view. So you can see all of it's back. Even though I did save a view of some of these records, the parent file is intact. They're all back. So looking at the IDEA desktop on the left side, you notice that IDEA is moving into a managed project focus. One of the first things to learn is how to add client files to your source files. So as you see the various folders here, you'll see one named source files. You can click the caret to the left and you can see the files that are already in there. If you want to add files, you right click on the source files. In the dialog box, select add file. You move to where you put your client files. You select the ones you want, move them into your project folder. I've already done this for this demonstration, so I'm going to hit cancel here. So let's move forward into what we want to do today. The first test is basically to recompute inventory balances at cost. The purpose of this test is to ensure that the client systems are correctly calculating the inventory totals from the source data. It addresses the accuracy of client systems, the valuation of inventory, and the completeness. The total is not in the database and it will have to be calculated. As the client data is protected, this test will show you how to use IDEA to accomplish your audit work. So you can see I have an inventory file open over here, and we basically want to append a new calculation. To do that, we need to bring up our field manipulation screen. So by navigating to any cell and right clicking, we bring up the dialog box and we select field manipulation. If you need help in using the field manipulation, you can click on the help button. It'll give you kind of an explanation of what this feature does. We want to use the append here and add a new field to the database. So in this case, I'm just going to come up with a field. It's going to be our new valuation at cost. So I'm going to say net end cost. And I'm going to leave it virtual numeric in case I need to come back and change the formula that I use. A lot of the dollar valuations in the inventory file have 2 decimals, so I'm going to go ahead and set this to 2 decimals as well. So that's what it takes to add a field. Of course, the next thing we need to do is tell IDEA how to populate the field. So we come to the middle of the dialog where we see parameter, and we mouse down to row 17, which is our new audit use field, and we left click anywhere in this grayed area on row 17, and that brings up our equation editor. Up here on the equation editor on the left side, you can see all the operators that you need to use for your formula. The white area is where we're going to actually insert our formula, and at the bottom of the dialog box you can see all of the records available for use in building our formulas. So we don't need to print them out or write them or remember them. They're all listed right there for you. For this particular test, we basically need an item cost times an inventory count. As I look down here through my list, I do see item cost, and I can double click on it and IDEA will automatically place it into my formula for me. So the operator is multiplication, so I select that, and now I need a closing inventory count. I have it here. I can start typing. IDEA will help me. I can select it. So closing inventory, and that will be my net cost at end. I can check the syntax by clicking on this icon here. It passes. I can push it across the database by selecting the green check, hitting OK. IDEA gives me a chance to change my mind. If you don't want to see that reminder box, you can click on this to say don't show this message again. Hit yes, and at the end of our file here we do have a new auditor calculated field, net end at cost. In order to confirm with the client's trial balance that you're in agreement, you can go back to the field statistics. It asks to regenerate. You look for your new field. You would trace this number here, 48,716,000, back to the client's trial balance. The next test is to select some large inventory balances for testing. To get from the field statistics to get back to your data view, you come over to the right side under the database properties, select data. You're back in this view. So there's several ways that we can go about selecting large inventory balances. Obviously, the auditor wants to minimize the amount of testing and cover a large percentage of the inventory in a short period of time. Let's use a direct extraction here. So most of our features of IDEA are under the analysis function. We can come over here to the left side, direct extraction, pull up the dialog box and give it a file name, large inventory items. A name that's unique enough so that when you go to the left side, you know what it means. To put the formula in, we come to the middle of the dialog box and select on the icon that looks like a calculator, brings up our dialog box. We want to use our new field here, so I can double click on it and bring it up, and we want items greater than 50,000. I can check the syntax, it passes. I can run it across the database by hitting the green check mark, hit OK, and there are the items greater than 50,000. If we want to do a quick check to see what percent of the total inventory, we can actually add another field. Again, select any cell, right click, field manipulation, append, percent total, leave it virtual numeric. I'm going to set it as 2 decimals. Come over to the parameter field to bring up the equation editor so we can do a calculation here. And at this, I want to put the net ending cost divided by the total amount of the inventory that we calculated in the previous test. Multiply it by 100 because we want a percent. Check the syntax, it's valid. Check the green to run it across the database, hit OK. And so we should have a new field over here. We can index it easily by double clicking on the total. You can see we would get the most coverage here by testing the first 7 or 8 items. We get close to 80% of the total. The final test that we want to do here is we want to look for any obsolete items in this inventory. So let's go back to our parent file. Again, there's several ways we could do this test. I'm going to take a shortcut and I'm just going to bring up the field statistics, and I see here there's one item that's 0, so I can pull that up. You can see the badminton birdie is being carried at no cost, so that's an indication that something might be wrong. I can look down here and I see number of negative records. I see 1 record here. I pull it up, it's the badminton net. It's being carried at a -5 cents. Again, those are indications that either there's an input error or the items are just being carried and not actually being used. So that's the 3 tests that I wanted to show you. I look forward to seeing you at future webcasts, so thank you for attending. If you would like our assistance with using IDEA to conduct these tests or other tests, supported users can call Automation Services Help Desk at 888-641-2800. We also want to remind you of our training opportunities, which are listed on our website at automation.com under training. Thank you.